Hello ladies and gentlemen and video game lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Today's video is going to be a prediction video, as I'm going to predict the winners at the 2020 Game Awards. For those of you who don't know, I am an avid video game player, almost as much as I am a movie lover. Been playing video games for as long as I can remember, and I've been watching this award show for probably close to a decade, I think. I don't know, maybe I was in grade 8 or 9, so probably like 8, 9, 10 years, I don't know. It was on Spike TV when I first started watching it, so that's how long ago it was. Regardless, every year I'm there, I get excited, I get my predictions ready, and I watch with anticipation. So I figured, why not share my predictions with you? I did cut out a few categories here and there that I don't really feel are overly necessary, those involving esports teams and events and social media influencers and such. And I may not spend a ton of time on each category explaining why I made this prediction, just because I don't want this to be like a 45-minute video, so some of them might just be me saying, that's who I think is going to win, moving on. Regardless, with that being said, let's get right into the predictions. For best esports game, I picked this one more so off of a want or a desire over an actual general prediction. I picked Call of Duty Modern Warfare because I am an avid Call of Duty player, and I really did enjoy Modern Warfare, though it is more so likely you will see something like League of Legends or Valorant win, something that has like a big PC community following. Best debut game, I went with Phasmophobia. Why? Because that game came out of nowhere and really did take the world by storm. A lot of people playing that game, a lot of people love it, and it's also the only one I've heard of. Best multiplayer game, I went with Call of Duty Warzone. Once again, it really could have been any of the nominees, so I kind of went with what my heart wanted more so than the actual prediction. Again, it could be any of them. It really could. These sort of categories are so up in the air that they're really tough to predict. Best sports game, I went with the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake. Why? Because they're the only ones that actually did something different, while the rest of them like FIFA and NBA are the same shit every single year, so I think that Tony Hawk is a pretty good shot. Best simulation or strategy game, I went with Gears Tactics, and I'm not a huge simulation strategy game player, so I kind of went with the one that I'm most familiar with, which is Gears Tactics, but also Microsoft Flight Simulator really sort of blew up when it released, so it could very well go to that one as well, but I'm gonna go and stick with Gears Tactics for myself personally. Best family game is without a doubt going to be Animal Crossing. That game that was the quarantine game. That's what people lived on. That's how they lived their lives during quarantine, was Animal Crossing. There's no doubt in my mind that that one is going to win. Best fighting game, I'm going with Mortal Kombat 11. I just feel like Mortal Kombat has the smoothest and most polished gameplay and graphics. Not to mention, I personally don't really care for the other fighting game franchises. I'm not a big Street Fighter fan or a Tekken fan or anything like that, so I really do feel like Mortal Kombat has a pretty good shot. Best RPG game, I'm not a massive RPG lover, and I don't think any of the nominees are really that great, but Final Fantasy VII Remake, that was the one that most people bought, played, reviewed, loved, so yeah, I'm going to assume it's going to be the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Best action and adventure game, I went with The Last of Us Part 2, but it could also very easily go to something like Ghost of Tsushima or even Assassin's Creed. I think this one is sort of an anyone's game type of category, but I'm going to go with The Last of Us Part 2 just because, again, that's more so like a heart feeling. My gut is kind of telling me Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm going to stick with The Last of Us Part 2. Best action game, I went with Doom Eternal. I'm not 100% sure if that is going to be the winner, but in my mind, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are the pinnacle of action games currently on the market. Innovation in accessibility, I went with The Last of Us Part 2, but to be 100% honest, even though there's a little description there, I'm not 100% sure what the criteria is to kind of fit the bill for this one. I went with The Last of Us Part 2 because that's what I want to win, I guess. Best VR/AR game, it's gonna be Half-Life Alyx. I would prefer Dreams. I love Dreams. I've been a huge advocate for the Dreams game. I even made a video on the Dreams game, but it definitely, you know, people have been wanting Half-Life 3 since I was born, essentially, so there's no way that Half-Life Alyx isn't gonna win. Best community support, I went with Valorant. This is another one, could easily go to any of them, but I know just how popular Valorant currently is, and it has a huge fan base, a lot of community support, and it's kind of an up-and-comer, so I think it'll go to that one. Best mobile game, I went with COD Mobile. It's the only one that I personally enjoy, and I know it has a massive, ever-evolving player base, as well as the game is constantly updated with new things. Even if those new things are microtransactions and things like that, people buy them. The game generates a lot of cash, has a lot of players, and I do actually enjoy it myself, so I think it will be COD Mobile. Best indie game, I'm going to go with Hades. Never played it, never played any of them for that matter. But that one was nominated quite frequently, so I'm going to assume that it's at least going to take the indie prize. Best ongoing game, I'm going to go with Warzone. Again, that's more of a personal pick than an actual prediction, but the game is huge, and with the new map finally coming and the integration of Black Ops Cold War and this sort of unified progression system, I'm going to assume that Warzone actually has a fairly good chance. Games for Impact, I'm going to go with Tell Me Why, and that's solely because I don't know what any of the others are. Oopsies. Best performance, this one was probably the toughest category for me, but I'm going to go with Ashley Johnson as Ellie. To me, she probably gave the best, most well-rounded performance overall, but this one could go to any of them, and I would be equally as satisfied, really, except for I think there was one for Hades. I don't really care for that one, but any of the others, very, very well deserving. Best audio design, I'm going to go with Doom Eternal. Because there's just non-stop crazy clusters of mind-melting sounds, and it's awesome. That game just sounds great. The crunches, the smunches, is smunch a word? Regardless, the sound of metal clashing metal, the sound of the blade, the explosions, the demons, everything. Everything about that game sounds phenomenal, so I'm going to go with Doom Eternal. For best score, I'm going to go with The Last of Us Part 2. Composed by Gustavo Santaolalla and Matt Quayle, and I'm sure I probably pronounced both of those names horrendously wrong. For me, these are the best scores in gaming. This one and the first one, they're magnificent. I really don't know how, like, every time I hear them, it brings emotions flooding back, whether that's anger or adrenaline, or it makes me teary-eyed. These are the only scores that really cause genuine emotion in me at any given time, and I think that's because, and I'm honestly willing to say, that these games wouldn't be as praised as they are without these scores. I feel like the score and the game go hand in hand, and I feel like that the score really amplifies the game and brings it up to what it is. But I really do think that they're going to take it for The Last of Us Part 2, just for the fact that it's so laced with emotion. It's absolutely impeccable how good these two scores are. Best art direction, gonna be Ghost of Tsushima in my mind. It's 13th century Japan. Gorgeous color scheme, gorgeous design, everything about the game is just stunning to look at. Best narrative, The Last of Us Part 2, without any question or doubt in my mind. If it doesn't win, it'll be a crime, because this is by far one of the best video game stories, probably one of the best stories in general I have ever heard or been a part of or had the pleasure of playing through. The messages, the meanings, a lot of people disagree, and that's fine. That's cool if you disagree, honestly. But for me, it's one of the best to ever be done. Best game direction, I'm going to go with Ghost of Tsushima, again for the same reasons that I said for the best art direction. Just look at the game. It looks amazing. It plays amazing. Has a lot of new and kind of innovative things in it. It may not be everyone's favorite, and a lot of people say, oh, it's just another action-adventure game, but there's a lot of things that they do different here, and aside from just the art direction being as magnificent as it is. And last but certainly not least is the Game of the Year winner. I'm going to predict The Last of Us Part 2, but something's telling me that 2018 is going to repeat itself, whereas Red Dead Redemption 2, it swept up. It cleaned up in every single category, and at the last second, God of War 2018 swooped in and took away that Game of the Year victory. Personally, I agree with that, but it was just weird to see Red Dead sweep up every other category easily, and then God of War to win Game of the Year. I feel like history's going to repeat itself here, and I feel like there's actually a really good chance that Ghost of Tsushima is going to sneak in and take it away from The Last of Us Part 2, but I feel like The Last of Us Part 2, personally, is the far more deserving of the two. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my predictions. And let me know in the comments if you enjoy these sort of prediction videos and if you'd like to see more. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.